Hello, welcome. Lisa, tell us who you are and what you do.
Hi Bobby, thanks for having me. I am Louisa Omielan, and I'm a comedian, and I've been doing comedy for about 13 years now.
The prime number.
Well, we do like our prime numbers, yes, we do like them. Remind me again, what does a prime number mean?
So it's a number that you can only make using one multiplication, essentially. So for example, you can make the number 10 by doing 1 times 10 or 2 times 5, but 13, you can only do 1 times 13. So it only has two factors, essentially.
It's a prime number. It's a
So
yeah.
you're on your prime year.
I'm in my prime year of comedy.
Yeah.
Hopefully, as soon as we exit lockdown, prime year it
Back
is.
in it, back in it. So Louisa, what was your school experience of maths like? Do you remember much about it?
Yeah, I do because I had great maths teachers. I had great teachers at school, but I'm an artist really, so I'm an artistic brain. So
Yeah.
I loved drama and English. I excelled in English and drama; they're my favourite. And science I found just boring, just because I wasn't very good at it or whatever. And maths, I wanted to like it because I quite like logic, but at the same time, I'm a bit of a dreamer. So I found concentrating in the logic quite difficult in terms of as a discipline to focus. Like I really like learning my times table, and I'd like learning the formulas for like division and multiplication. But when it came to my GCSEs, I think I was predicted like a D grade, which is weird because I should have been higher.
Mm.
And I started to see a maths tutor, and she was a really strict um, older lady that I think she was like a retired teacher that came back to teach maths, and she
Yeah.
was really strict and had glasses and was really mean in class and would always get told off for talking or whatever. And I was really worried about going to see her in her house, and in her dining room she'd give me like maths lessons. And I loved it after having a one-on-one session with her, and I got my grade up. I think I got like a B plus in the end,
Oh, nice.
and it was my favorite grade because it had gone from a D to a B plus, and the difference had been that I had that one-on-one support, because in the classroom I was so easily distracted and would just chat and mess around. And then to have somebody right there who just knew the information and could explain things really simply and give me the time to process it and understand it, it empowered me. It made me feel confident. I grew in confidence because of that jump in grade, and it was down to that maths teacher.
I love the word they said, empowered, because so many people, when they talk to me about maths, whether as a teacher, Mr. Seagull, or a friend Bobby, they often say that when they can't do maths, it makes them feel powerless.
Yes.
The word empowered, that's such a strong word. Like, do you feel like that's the right word to use? It made you feel like,
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think it's good to know, especially it's weird because at the time you think, well, at the time you don't know that it's not going to be useful later. But there's always the joke of, oh, nobody cares about Pythagoras when you're older. Nobody cares about, equations when you're older. You won't need that.
uh,
But there is something to be said for understanding the value of things, understanding the value of things you want to buy,
yeah.
things money you want to spend, and understanding the value of yourself really, and your worth, and what your work is worth. And that comes down to numbers, and that comes down to maths really. So yeah, I think empowerment is the right word.
So did you have a particular moment where the light bulb, obviously you had that school experience, but in
Yeah.
real life, where there was like a light bulb that made you realize actually all this sort of money stuff and money malarkey, maths is really important to that.
I think for me, it was when I started doing Edinburgh Fringe Festival, which is a festival in Edinburgh they do every year. And I was doing something called the Free Fringe, where you don't charge people for tickets. You hire a room above the pub, and I think you pay like £50 for the month or whatever, and that's your room at that time, like 10 o'clock that night, every night you'll have that pub. And it's up to you to put on a show. So I was doing comedy shows. And afterwards, you would ask the audience to give you a donation. So you'd hold a bucket at the door and say, throw some money in. If you enjoyed the show, throw the money in. And my favourite thing, and it became my mum's favourite thing, was counting the money at the end. And there's something so joyous, Bobby, about counting money. I love money. Make it rain. Like, I love money. And I've always wanted to be wealthy. I've always wanted to have a lot of money. I've always wanted to be financially secure since I was a little girl.
Mhm.
Um, I love the idea of, stocks and shares and buying and selling. And I haven't done any of that stuff, which is a shame, because I used to really love the role play of pretending to be on the phone and buy, sell, sell, sell. Like, I really like that. And it was counting that money in the bucket and then living off that money the next day. So it was a very clear, this came in, this goes out, this came in, this goes out. And just really understanding it at a very practical, basic level. And for me, that made more sense than some of my friends who would get credit cards and they would spend a fortune on a credit card. And I've never understood credit cards. I've never understood the idea of borrowing money before you have it to then pay it back later when you have it. I always like to spend what's in my pot, and once it's gone, it's gone. That's it. That's how I like to see money and cash and expenditure.
When you talked about maths and numbers and money, obviously some emotion comes across. Do you think as humans we get over emotional, under emotional about money? Or do we get too attached, not attached enough?
I think we get very emotional and over attached to money because it's stressful not having any money. That's the problem. When you haven't got it, it's stressful. When you've got times like we're recording this right now in the middle of a coronavirus crisis, and I'm not working at the moment, so I'm not generating an income, and that's incredibly stressful. But I think there's something about money and maths. Sorry, there's something about maths that is incredibly logical and practical, that you can take the emotions out of it, that maths doesn't lie, like money doesn't lie. And actually that's quite exciting. It's a bit of a detour, but I've been watching Ozark recently and I'm in love with Ozark, and there's a guy that's money laundering. And it is so interesting to like just hear some of the terminologies he's using. You're like, wow, how do you make those numbers? And in it he's like, the numbers don't lie. It's all about playing the numbers. And I think that's actually quite exciting to be knowledgeable about numbers and to know how to use them to your advantage. I think that would be really cool. Like, I wish I knew more about numbers so I could buy stocks and shares. Like, I wish I understood it more so I could be like, oh yes, if I buy that now, I can make this.
Oh, I can give you some lessons later.
Yes, please.
Because before I became an educated teacher, I used to work in the city. So I used to work as a I don't say the student company. I used to work as a trader at Lehman Brothers, the bank that, and then I was a chartered accountant at PwC. So actually, in a life before education and teaching, I was one of those people.
Are you serious? Do you know what I was watching yesterday, Bobby? I was watching an economist perspective on the aftermath of coronavirus, and I was listening so intently, and I downloaded a book about finances afterwards. She was talking about this finances book, and I downloaded it. And then here you are saying, oh, what? You mean you're after knowledge on information on stocks and shares? Me, I'm right here, mate. Like, hello.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So in managing finances, also there are people that are employed by businesses.
Yeah.
You that are self-employed. How have you found the number side there? Have you had to become much more strict with yourself, thinking about how numbers come in and out because you're self-employed?
I should be, yes, but I'm not, because I'm a bit of a donut. So the clearest example I've got is me and a really good friend of mine, Pascal, right? So Pascal goes to work and she works for somebody else. And what that means is that she gets paid, let's say she gets paid £100 a month every month. That's her salary every month. Whereas I'm self-employed, so I have to go out and look for people to buy something that I have, right? So one month I might make £10, another month I might make £250, another month I might make £10, and it changes every month. And it's really funny because Pascal doesn't understand how I live, because she's like, I could not live like that, where I don't know what's coming in every month, I don't know what I'm going to earn. She knows what she's going to earn, she knows what her rent costs, she knows what her food costs, she knows what everything costs. With me, I'm self-employed, so I have to be aware of what's coming in. I love the uncertainty of it, actually, because I love that now it's really quiet. And I'm like, it's fine, because just like that, Bobby, it can change, and I can suddenly earn £600. Do you know what I mean? Like it can go up and down. And I am not very good at keeping an eye on it, but I am good at moving with the flow. So when at the moment I'm not earning much, it's fine, I'm not spending much. Like I just, change. It's annoying because when I do earn again, I'll go out and just spend it like it's
the bucket you talked about, the bucket of like the money comes in.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll just spend it because I'll be like, I haven't spent anything for so long, and now I can just spend loads of crap. Spend loads of money on rubbish. So I'm not the best example of a self-employed person because my accounts, for love nor money, do not care for them, do not want anything to do with it. I luckily hire an accountant and I say, look, I will pay you to be really thorough and to do these properly. Make sure every box is ticked, every I is dotted, every T is crossed. I don't care for it. Just tell me what I owe you and when, and you take care of everything else. But it's interesting because when I'm working, I want to know exactly what I'm earning. What am I bringing in? What money am I earning? How much am I earning? And if I'm working with somebody else, we're doing the same job, how much are they earning? Are we on the same fee? I want to make sure I'm on the same fee as them. So
that's really important.
I do love maths and numbers when it comes to that stuff. Yes.
Yeah. And for most people that are either whether they're employed or self-employed, actually numbers come into their own when they're either renting or they're looking to buy a place for the first time. What was your story about?
So I found it very frustrating because I was renting and my rent was the best part of about £1,000 a month, right? It was in central London and I was sharing with three other people. And it was so, like, it was a great place and I loved it there. But it was so frustrating that you go, well, hang on, I know people that have got mortgages that are £600-800 a month and they own that house. So for me, renting, you're spending your salary, your income every month, and that money goes into somebody else's pocket because somebody else owns that property and that money goes into their pocket that own it. Whereas when you own a property, yes, you borrow money from the bank, but every time you pay that mortgage back, you're giving the bank some of their money back. So actually that money hasn't gone in somebody else's pocket, it's still stayed in the property. And for me, that was important to get into that position where my money was actually coming back to me. Maybe not immediately, but in the long term, in 20, 30 years, hopefully sooner than that, pay off. So I tried to get a mortgage in London, and I think it was probably the first time that you recognise how dated systems are, and especially for self-employed people and single people. And as a single woman, I wanted to get on the property ladder. I'm self-employed. I'm generating income in London all the time. Every time I do a show, I hire a theatre, a venue, bar staff, theatre staff, sound director and technician or whatever. And I'm creating all these little jobs. And yet I couldn't get a very big mortgage because my income wasn't sufficient to afford a property in London, despite working and generating money in London. So the maths for me was frustrating then, because you go, well, I'm generating, say I generate £100,000 worth of tickets, right? You go, I'm generating £100,000. Okay, I'm only earning 22,000 out of that 100, but I generated 100. So I thought, I should be able to buy in London. But they in London, the way it works, is that they look at the 22, not the 100, they look at the 22. So you go, well, you can only buy a house that's maybe 4 or 5 times 22, as that's what we think you'll be able to afford. And you're going, okay, but I've been paying in rent £1,000 a month for the last 7, God knows how many years I've been living in London. I've been paying, you see that I've been able to match the payments.
Of course.
So it was it was frustrating in that perspective that there isn't, I guess, even though on paper, the numbers, even on paper it says 22, that they don't take into account what you've been paying in rent. They don't look at your bank history. So they go, what have you earned for the last 3 months? That's what you can afford. And you go, well, hang on, look how much I've been paying consistently in rent for the last 6 years, and I'm not missed a payment. Like, why don't you judge me on that? And I found it frustrating because rather than saying, well, you earn 22 a month, so we'll give you a mortgage 4 or 5 times that, for me, it goes, well, if I'm paying £1,000 a month in rent, why can't you give me a mortgage where I pay £1,000 back a month?
That makes logical sense.
right? And then that mortgage, if that was the case, then I could probably have got a mortgage for 400,000 or 500,000, but I couldn't. Instead, it was more 200,000 because that's all I could afford. So, in many ways, it is frustrating being self-employed and trying to navigate systems that are based on a two-income household, two people bring it in, and a stable traditional job and payroll. Which is why it's even more important, I think, as a self-employed person, to know your money, to know your maths, and get your finances in order, because those systems are not going to change anytime soon. So you have to make sure that you go, right, if I want to get on the property ladder, I need to have 3 years worth of accounts, and I need to make sure that they're all of us, of a value that would help me afford somewhere that I can live where I want to work.
Yeah. So
I rambled a lot there, Bobby. Sorry, I rambled.
No. So you've clearly shown how important having a sense of numbers and maths and finances are, and yet so many people are afraid of numbers. They're just trying to avoid it. Why do you think people try and avoid it, even though it's clearly so important?
I think it's stupid because, and I say this with love, but I do think it's stupid. I think sometimes we have experiences in our past that make us frightened of things, right? And I think at school, many of us may have failed at maths or failed at numbers or failed at things. And so you go, I'm never going to do that again because it was too scary, too thingy. But actually, those numbers are not going to hurt you. Those numbers are not going to scare you. They're only going to empower you because that your situation that you are in it anyway.
Yeah.
It's not changed because you do know about the maths or you don't know about the maths. If anything, if you do know about the maths and you learn about it, you will feel more empowered and more encouraged to go, what? I'm minus 800 every month. No wonder I'm stressed because my credit card bills are coming in, my bills are coming in, and I'm getting, bailiffs or whatever at the door. I'm getting threatened to be taking this, and I can't afford a nice holiday, and I can't afford this. Well, hang on. That's because if I look at it, that's where all my money's going. But hang on, why have I been paying a gym membership for, 50 quid a month? When was the last time I went to the gym? That needs to stop. I could save £50 a month there. If you add that up over the years, that's what? That's £600 in a month, in a year already saved. You go, oh, okay, maybe I can alleviate some of this stress. Maybe I can alleviate some of this difficulties and use it to make my life better, use it to make my lifestyle better. And it's not just in negative, it's in positive as well, where you go, hang on, I've got an extra 100 quid here or an extra 200 quid here every month. And I'm just spending it on, I don't know, butter from Waitrose. Well, what if instead I put that aside every month? After a year, I'd have £2,400. That'll be enough for a holiday in Mexico. I think it's just recognizing it, that it's not a test anymore. That you doing maths now is not a test anymore. It's not there to test you. It's not there to trip you up. It's not there to see you fail. Now is the time for you to use maths to improve your life and make it easier for you to live your best one with the money and the income that you've got coming in and going out. In and out is important.
That's one of the, actually brings us really nicely to the end of what I wanted to say, because with National Numeracy, we have a virtual day, and it's trying to encourage people to reevaluate where their numeracy skills are. So
right.
They try and take steps to improving their skills. And we have something called the National Numeracy Challenge. And it's not a test, but it's something like a 15-minute diagnostic. It's almost like a MOT on your numbers. And
okay.
you do it, and at the end of it, it sort of says, here are bits of your maths and numeracy you need to work on. So something, if your followers, your viewers, people watching this, if they feel as if, Luisa's in sort of inspired me to try and take charge of my finances, but I didn't get maths GCSE, don't worry, National Numeracy can help take charge.
I think it's a great idea. I want to do the test because I'm rubbish at so many parts of maths, and then other parts I'm quite, I'm good at, but some parts I'm rubbish at. So I'd love to do that test. Let's all do the test, Bobby.
Thank you. So thank you so much for supporting.
Thank you for having me.